Hey there everyone, Hitesh here and this is Mikey. Mikey, say hello. Mikey is responsible for all the great audio that you're hearing. So he is always there with me in the videos. So let's get started out there. What we want to do today. Now, I get this question a lot, and in fact, recently I got over 10 emails talking about how we can add Facebook and Google login in our app. Now, it's really the simple process out there, but with a couple of new tweakings in the Firebase in a couple of years, it has become a little bit tricky. Now, first of all, they were allowing it to log in with the Google Plus. Now they allowing it with the Google account. So that's the one major change. And the second is that the documentation is not updated in the Firebase. That's kind of a bummer, but I'm completely aware of the situation when you need to update the documentation for any product out there. It's not the easiest task on the planet, so I'm aware of that. So what we are going to do, we're going to create a simplest possible app that will use the advantage or take the advantage of Firebase in the iOS 10 with Swift 3 and is going to perform a Google Sign-in. Sounds interesting. Yes, it is. It is very interesting because you are not only going to learn only this, you will also learn how we can read the legacy documentation, which are a little bit old, and how we can perform that in our own style so that, believe me, the Firebase documentation is such a nice example to perform this kind of a tutorial out there where we have an outdated documentation, but still the documentation is giving us the enough information so that we can place it on in our own style in the latest syntax of Swift 3 or 4 or whatever it is. It's really the nice way. Okay, so let's go there. So how do we want to proceed that? Okay, first of all, you know what? I would like to create an Xcode project. That's always a good start. So file, new project. And where are you? Here we go. And single view application. We all have single view application as our favorite. Let's click on the next. And I'll call it as G sign me. Google sign me or Google sign me up. Okay, you can name it anything pretty much. Let's click on the next and looks okay. I'm gonna save it on my desktop and create it. My desktop is not that messy still. Okay, now we are gonna need this bundle identifier, so we're gonna copy this and let's go there. And what I want to do next is just create a new project and I'll name it as G Sign Me. You can name it anything, it doesn't really matter. So G Sign Me is actually a nice name. Don't judge me on the name. Okay, let's create a new project. Come on, stop this ring and create a project for me. Okay, it's taking a second. Okay, that's nice. Very quick. Let's go on to the app. This is my bundle identifier. I've copied it just from where I've copied. Let me show you. In the G Sign-in, in the general, in the bundle identifier, I've copied. You might be already aware if you are so far in the course. And in case you're watching it on the YouTube, do subscribe to the channel. There is a coupon in the description as well. Let's add this app. And there is a new app nickname in case you noticed out there. It's giving me a Google service-info.plist file. I'll save that. That's a property list file, permission list file, some people call that. But basically, it's a property list file, but you can call it anything. And let's just drag and drop this guy. Now, I'll just drag and drop from my desktop just near the info.plist. Now, I like to arrange things just nearby. That's why I'm placing it here. You can place it anywhere. I like the things to be much more arranged, but still I'm not using the MVC model. That's funny, that's bummer to me, but okay. And let's continue. Now it's saying that, you know what, you can go with the Firebase core and you can just install the Firebase. Okay. Now, what I want to show you is actually the Google Docs. So let me open up the Firebase. So, firebase.google.com docs. Okay, let's go into the docs. And I want to go into the authentication and the Google sign-in. Always look into the docs. It's best way. We can see that we are going to need the Firebase auth out there, and we are going to also need the Google sign-in. So while we set up our pod files out there, why not to just give it one go and install it on just one line. We just have to add one more line and we can do that. Not a big deal. G sign me, where are you? Here we are. We need to open up a terminal. Where are you? And there's our nice little terminal. Who did convert you into the black? How did that happen? My terminal was white. Okay, let me just restart that. I think there's some problem with that. Okay, let me restart that. Oh my goodness, now my terminal is blue. Now that is a little surprise for me. Okay, that is some surprise for me. I don't like blue, I like white. Who did got you with a solid color? I want the basic one, the default. How to set this up? Never tried that. General, solid colors, nope. In the basic, yep. And do I need to restart you? Okay, now it's white. I like white. It's much more visible. Students like it. And now let's go on to the desktop and I'll call G sign me. Do a quick ls. We are into the right file. Pod init. And we're expecting a pod file out there. Yep, there it is. Now let me open up this into the Sublime text. Now a lot of you might be shouting out, hey, why don't you open it up in the terminal? Yes, I can with the Nano or maybe Vim, but it might scare you off. And I don't want to do that. So let's install a couple of things. Go there, approximately out there. And first thing that we need is Firebase, our all-time favorite, Firebase. And we are also gonna need Firebase auth. It is important. We are gonna need some authentication to be done. And also you might need, I'm not pretty sure, you might need, Firebase database. Okay. Although in this movie, we will not focus much on the database right now. Our focus is Google Sign-in. We have already covered the database in the section out there quite in depth. We will also explore that in the future movies out there in the course. But right now, I think it's good to leave that alone. And we're going to need Google Sign-in. Google Sign-in. Make sure you pay a little attention on the case sensitivity. It's sensitive guy, you know, very emotional, very sensitive. Okay, now next we need is pod install. And all green. I like green. I like green. It's all green. Okay, next step is obvious. We need to go on to where it is. Google Sign. I have so many things opened up. I don't usually do that. And you know what? I can close a couple of these guys. In fact, I can close this guy or not. This is open twice, actually. I can close this. And this is good. And this is not good. So let me open up G Sign-in again. And we want to have gsigninme.xe workspace. So look out for the XE workspace. Or you can go for the icon which is less blue. Or it's actually a bad advice. Don't look for the icon. Don't listen to me on that. Don't look for the icon. Go for the XE workspace. That's what we are looking for. Okay. And iPhone 7. Okay. Sounds nice. There is our pod file. Nice and lovely. And there we go. Now next what we need to do. It says pod install. Okay, done. Now add, I don't know, Objective-C. I have no idea. I'll be working on the Swift. I know a little bit Objective-C. Kidding that. Okay. Now what we need to do is go into this file that says app delegate. And all we want to do is import Firebase. Point number 1. Go into the did finish launching. And you know the drill, it's firapp.configure, save that, and build that. Building is important, very, very important at this point. Okay. And it succeeded with a lot of warnings, which we are not worried out here. And let's just finish that. Okay. Basic configuration is done. Let's move out there. Now it says you have to add install. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now let's import the required header files. Okay. Now first we need is Firebase to add into the view controller as well. Okay, here it is saying view controller as well. So by the way, it's a sign-in view controller. Right now we are not gonna go for that much of code, maybe, but still I'll add Firebase. No harm in that. Save that and build that again. No harm in adding Firebase everywhere. Actually, where you use that, just only add there. Okay. And let's go on. Now we need a project bridging header file. Okay, now this is a bummer number one because there shouldn't be a bridging header in the latest iOS applications, but still we have a Google sign-in. Google is a big company. We will allow that. So how we do that? Now there are a couple of ways to have a bridging file. Let me show you the easiest one. Click on the file, new, and you want to get a new file. And it should be Objective-C file. Don't get scary. It's not gonna be troublesome. We are gonna just create an Objective-C file and I'll call it as mine, you know. And next, add this. And now it's gonna say create a bridging header. That's what we are looking for. And this is, believe me, the easiest way of creating a bridging header. So let's just create a bridging header. We are not interested in mine.m. We are interested in the gsign.me bridging header. Why? Because it says you need to add this file out there. Copy that and paste that and save that. Okay, now we need to do a couple of things here, implement Google sign-in. But before that, I would like to build my project. And okay, it's happy. I build it and save it quite often. Now it says, you know what, open your project configuration and you need to go into the targets, info tab, URL types. Let me show you quickly where that is. This is your target, this is your info tab, and this is your URL types. You can read the entire documentation. I actually read it quite a lot, and I know this bold highlighting actually helps me a lot. I don't want to read all of them. Now it says, click the plus button. And you might want to look into the Google service info.plist, the reverse client ID, and this is where you have to paste it. Okay, diagram helps a lot. Okay, so let's go onto Google service info.plist, reverse client ID. There we go. Clicking it again, Command C, and where I want to go into the URL types. Click add. I want to paste it there. Hit enter. Voila, it's done. While we are already here, I want to just give you one experience guide out there that whenever you actually use the Google sign-in or Facebook sign-in, it is a good advice that you go into the capabilities and you allow the keychain sharing. Otherwise, your simulator will not have an access to that, and it's not gonna work ultimately. So make sure that your keychain sharing is enabled. So that's personal, you know. But always make sure that it is there. Otherwise, you will be just figuring out why this app is not working, everything is going right, and you know, a lot of trouble. Now it says you have to add a delegate that says Gid Sign-in Delegate. This is the trickiest part, believe me. I have been through this. And it says Gid Sign-in Delegate, not the UI delegate, Gid Sign-in Delegate. Now, in case this is not suggesting in your case, this is a bad situation. Why? Because you have actually created a bridging header file, but you haven't compiled or you haven't built your project yet. This is a bad situation. This should be automatically suggested. Why? Because we have already have this pod out there in the Google sign-in and in the framework. So this should be suggested out there. And it will not suggest if you'll not build if you will not build after creating a bridging header file. Okay, so I hope you got that. This is the tricky part. So we have imported the delegate out there just like that. Now let's go on to the did finish launching with option blah blah method, and we want to add these lines. We have already added this configure line. Now we need to add these two lines. Okay, let me first add these lines. Okay, there we go. Now what it's doing, it's taking a shared instance of the client ID out there. And again, it's referencing the delegate to itself. Just like the table views, you always have to reference the delegate that, hey, your delegate is here. So just work here. Okay, let's go out there. Now here comes the good part. Now this method, I can tell you that this is actually implemented in the Swift 2 or 2.2 or something like that. But the great part about the documentation is don't ever look for the copy paste. Look a little bit, read a little bit. The more you'll read, the more you'll understand. Like for example here, implement the application open URL options. So it's saying that you need to look for the three things in a method: application, open URL, and options. Method to your app delegate file. And this method should call handle URL method and methods of Gid sign-in instance. Okay, blah blah later on. Right now, if you look at this method, this might be a little bit old method, but it's telling you, hey, you know what? You can just take advantage of the suggestions in the Xcode and say, I'm looking for the application, open URL options. Let me just show you what I mean by that. I'll just add a couple of blank lines for me. I'm looking for application, open, and there we go. Application, open URL, options, and there we go. I'm looking for this guy. So simple, if you'll pay a little attention. Now, you can also go same things with the return URL out there, but sometimes just copy pasting is also going to work. And in this case, let me just paste that, save that. And it's saying that these dots are really nice. They always help. And this is going to change it to the latest syntax. This is actually for some lines of codes, not the entire function usually don't get replaced. So this is happy now. Not much of the changes. Actually, it has added a dot annotation out there. And this handle URL actually became the handle. So let me show you. This was handle URL and there was no dot annotation. So this has changed. Nice. And for your app running iOS 8, now this is a good way. We don't have to bother about the lower devices now. Most of the devices in the iOS community runs the latest. So we can ignore this step. Step number 5, we are all through quite a lot in deep out there. Now, okay, we have to implement the Gid Sign-in Delegate protocol to handle the sign-in process. Okay, this might be prompting some error for you because we are not following the protocol. We have implemented the protocol, but we are not following the options from it. Okay, let's just try that. I'm adding a lot of things out here. So the first method is actually the sign in, and it's actually did sign in for user. And the next one is disconnect with the user. Okay, sounds nice. Did sign in for user. So did sign in for user. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. And the next one is did disconnect. What was that? Yep, did disconnect with user. Did disconnect with user. Okay, that's the one I'm looking for. Okay, sounds nice. And we haven't written anything inside that yet. Declare your sign-in view controller. Your view controller should be declared as Gid Sign-in UI Delegate. So let's go on to the view controller. We'll come back there in the previous file. Gid Sign-in UI Delegate. I'm saying it again, UI Delegate this time. Okay, sounds nice. And inside the view did load, you might want to implement this line. A simple line, come on. We can do that. And there we go, save that. Nice. Now add a Gid Sign-in button. So we are gonna have that button that says Google login. We can add that in the XIB file as well, or the nib file. But we're gonna do that the easy way. We're gonna go with the view, add a view, and set its custom class to Gid Sign-in Button. We're gonna do that. So because it's the easy way. And I'm gonna look for UI view. There we go. It understands my nasty casing, which is bad. And I think we can just align it horizontally and center in the container. And give it a fixed width and height. It's happy, completely happy. Now what next? Okay, and set a custom class to Gid Sign-in Button. Okay, class, go into this newspaper, the identity inspector, and we're looking for Gid Sign-in Button. That is nice. And we have a view that has a class Gid Sign-in. Okay, what next? It's too lengthy. Optional, I don't want to go with the optional. Now it says authenticate with the Firebase. So the method we call did sign in for the user. We are going to get a Google ID token. That's a good news. We are not getting your password. We are only getting a token from you. Basically, let's just copy this entirely out there. Copy this and paste this into the did sign in for the user. Where is that method? Inside the app delegate? Yes. I can have this. Save that. Looks happy to me. Oh, why are you making a problem? Self.show message prompt. It's okay. Why are you making a problem? App delegate has no member show message prompt. Of course, it doesn't have. Let me just write something else here. So what I can do is how can I handle it into the easiest way. I can actually say print error dot localized description. I think this should be happy now. Okay, you are not happy here. And why are you not happy here? Nope, I'm not going to replace you with an underscore right now. I think this is happy. Okay, finally authenticate with Firebase using the credentials. Okay, so we have to authenticate with the credentials finally. Okay, so how we are gonna do that? Okay, so basically what we can do is we can go inside this function and at the same time we can actually authenticate it. So not here, I have to go there. So once the user is actually signed in and the token we have received the token, I would like to authenticate it with the same credential. Already the code is written, that's nice. With credential, and credential is actually the access token that we are getting. Read out this code, it's pretty easy and it's good. And this sounds nice. And what all I want to do in this case is I'm not worried about we have already taken care of the sign-in process out there quite in deep in the course. So I'm only gonna say is user got signed in Firebase. Actually, user is getting logged in into the Firebase this time, and user should be logged in with the Google as well. I can actually comment this code. Maybe I'll sign out user later. Maybe not. Okay. Now what else we have? There's a code for sign out, but I think we are done. We have done till the end of the documentation. I think we have done a pretty good job. Now the moment of the truth. Are we gonna make it? Let's just try that. Okay, I don't expect my code to run for the first time. I don't, never. I expect some error all the time, but usually I think this is not a big deal and we can actually get something out here. Yeah, the sign in button is there. That is nice. Let's just try to sign in. And there we go. Google account opens up and already it's being out there. I can actually say, hey, you know what, sign out. And okay, come on, sign out. I actually did try it and tested for one of the app and did try to log in for that. Come on, show me something. And there we go. This is what you'll be looking for, something. I've already got the email out there. Let me just try to log in and this is gonna be, let's just say, and I'll be blurring it out because there is no way for me to hide the ID and password out there. That's nice. And you will be you have to enter your email and password. You know the drill, it's pretty easy. Sign in. And I got the wrong password. Let me try one more time. Sign in. This time we got it. Right password. And view your email address, profile, you know, basic stuff, and allow. And we actually didn't set anything out there to go or to do after the user is signed in. And I think we missed one thing. And that is gonna get us some problem. We actually didn't allow our app to have a sign-in from the Google. That is bummer. We need to save that and enable so that anybody can get into that. So you know what? Let's just try that again. Our app is already up and running. And sign in. This time let me just stop this app for a second. And there we go. Stop this app. And user got signed in. Got tabbed a couple of times because I tabbed it, but that was a bummer, pure bummer. Completely caught me off guard, and that's why I'm saying I never expect my code to run for the first time. In fact, no coder expect that, believe me. Let's just try to sign in this time. And come on, are you not gonna sign me in? Let me stop that and clean my project, or in fact, let me just delete that Gsign-in. I think my app is behaving a little bit odd, but of course, Command-Shift-K to clean the project, and let's run that. By the way, our app is running fine. We just forgot to enable the switch out there. No big deal. And there we go. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, it start out there. Gid Sign-in. Okay, again, you can just enter your ID and password. I'm not gonna do that again. I have to blur it out for a couple of times. So I'm gonna just allow it. And this time we expect a user to show up into the Firebase out there, Firebase authentication. And let's just check it out. I guess I need to reload it. And there we go. There we go. We have got the Google sign-in with the unique user ID out there. And the sign-in method is now enabled. You can just go same things, you know. We have followed the documentation. In fact, we have learned quite a lot out there. Okay. Now, there's a simple assignment for you as well. Now, what you have to do, once the user has actually successfully logged in and signed in, I want you to create a new segue with, let's just say, a blue or green color. And user should be moved on to that segue once the sign-in is successful out there. Pretty simple job. You'll be using something for perform segue out there. And you'll be also finding out whether the user has successfully signed in or not. Not a big deal. We have already covered quite a lot of this, and this is going to be a pretty easy chunk for you. So it is going to take some time for you, but I'm expecting that you'll post the results out there. And in case you're watching it on the YouTube again, make sure you subscribe to the channel and see you out there.